Wall decoration. Nowadays, designers come up with a huge number of different interior decorations to meet all tastes. The problem is that they're often too expensive to be affordable for the average person. Fortunately, with the right set of tools, you can assemble your own wall decoration by yourself, just like the craftsman you see on the screen right now. As a basic material, he uses wooden bars, which he cuts into many flat blocks with the help of a special machine. In total, he needs about 275 wooden blocks for his work. The next step is polishing the wood with several types of sandpaper. The finished blocks are attached to the sheet of wood with a special glue, which is spread on the whole surface except for the 4 blocks in the corners, because there will be fixtures to the wall under them. After that, the decoration is ready. It can be left as it is, or you can put up pictures, stickers, and other things on it. Thanks to the skillful work of the master, the wooden board turned out to be of the same quality as the expensive model from the store. Laying tiles. If the floor to be tiled has an uneven surface, it's not necessary to make an underlayment. Some craftsmen, like this one, choose a tactic that saves a lot of time: laying tiles on self-leveling concrete. Moreover, the worker does not try to apply the mortar to the entire surface at once. He paves the concrete gradually before laying each new slab. The result of this productive work is a perfectly even surface. It's no worse than if you had previously made an underlayment. Plasticine figure. Modern sculptors can choose from a wide variety of raw materials. In this case, the work is performed with professional sulfide-free Chavant NSP plasticine. According to the master, this sculpture was made only for entertainment. At some point, the sculptor came up with the idea of recreating a character from Fallout 4, the Deathclaw. First, he developed the sketch, and then he started working on the artwork itself. Soft aluminium wire is used to make the frame with pliers. Then the crumpled foil is placed inside. It's also applied on top of the frame, and after that, the master starts working with the plasticine. First, the figure resembles the character of the game only a little by its outlines. The sculptor then applies layers of material to give the workpiece the correct shape and size. Note how the master only works with his hands almost to the end, without having to resort to tools. However, you can't do really small work without them. The arsenal of tools, as a rule, is diverse. He uses wired modeling tools to cut off pieces of plasticine, giving the mass the desired shape. There are different types of tools depending on the task. Usual modeling tools remove or push through the material. To create animal horns, the craftsman again creates a frame covered with foil. On the screen, you can see the result of this long, complicated, and accurate work. The head of the creature would be indistinguishable from the real one if the Deathclaw existed in reality. Planters and vases. This American pottery craftsman uses quite unusual techniques to create his dishes. For example, he makes traditional Japanese ceramics called raku. The baking of clay products is done in the shortest possible time, about an hour. The kiln pots are heated to a temperature of 900 degrees, then they're placed in containers filled with straw, sawdust, and newspapers. The high temperature of the product makes these materials burn. There is then smoke, which makes the surface of the dishes dark. It's noteworthy that each pot made with this technique is unique, as the smoke leaves its own unique pattern on every single one of them. The master also uses feathers to decorate the clay dishes. The simplest technique implies their use as a stencil. The feathers applied to the surface, after which the sculptor sprays a thin layer of paint. After baking, the dishes acquire an unusual and, again, unique appearance. A more sophisticated technique involves using feathers directly for decoration. Unusual patterns on the surface are also created with horsehair. The pot is taken out of the kiln, and before the temperature drops, this decoration material is applied to it. When burned, it leaves an interesting mark on the surface. The difficulty of this technique is that the products outside the kiln cool down very quickly, so the master has literally 30 seconds to create a beautiful pattern. Pizza oven. This may seem surprising, but pizza ovens, despite their small size and complex shape, are made by some craftsmen by hand. The design you see on the screen is classic, is known as a Pompeii oven. First, the master constructs the base. Since it's an oven, it is imperative to take care of the thermal insulation. The tiles are laid, then the side elements are carefully ground to fit the rounded shape of the future furnace. Then, layer by layer, the bricks are laid. The black shape in the middle determines the size of the hole in the oven. Note that the master doesn't use ordinary bricks, but halves and even smaller parts. To lay the last few rows of bricks, a special frame is placed inside the oven. It will maintain its shape until the mortar that holds the bricks together dries out. You might think that this is the end of the process, but it's not. Next, the bricks are covered with heat-insulating material and a layer of cement is applied on top. The creation of such ovens is a long and complicated process, so the master has to be very careful. Even a small mistake can lead to frailty, collapse, or unsuitability for cooking. Millefiori glass. Even though this unusual technology of glass manufacturing was invented in ancient Egypt, fortunately, today especially skilled masters continue to use it to create the most beautiful artworks made of glass. As raw materials, special glass canes are used. Their section as a necessary drawing for the master. It can be a flower, a geometric figure, an animal, in general almost anything. To create such canes, molten glass masses of different colors are layered on top of each other. When the resulting lump is stretched out, its cross-section forms a whimsical pattern. When the cane hardens, it's crushed into small pieces to be used in the manufacture of the final product. Despite the fact that the glass looks soft and malleable, it's not easy to shape it. Don't forget that the temperature is extremely high, so you need an incredible level of precision and craftsmanship. Patterned tabletop. Kitchen worktops can be made of a variety of materials. However, it's only in epoxy resin worktops that craftsmen really put all their skills and soul into. Each such tabletop is unique. The process is actually quite messy though. To get a really beautiful surface, you have to work really hard. The master alternately pours resin, evens it out, creates gradients and patterns using a variety of tools. At first glance, it may seem that the work isn't too complicated, but in fact you need to have a great imagination to create a really beautiful picture.